da ono kao pokušam. William Fraser. Alright, switching to English. This is working. William Fraser. Alright, switching to English. Yeah, it's all good.
Works.
Just gonna keep this window right here. And that is it. Should be working on YouTube as well. Let's check. Just I don't feel like checking it every time, but this is the last. Yeah, it's working. All right. And here are the topics.
Well, you can show it as well, because I'm eating the banana right now.
How do you say it's banana?
Yeah,
Banana, something whatever. Scenes, Gladiator house. Here it is. So we're gonna show some progress for today, and then we're gonna talk about some story stuff and some new characters and actions. No, we got orcs. Huh? Not bad. Now we just started that, so tomorrow we'll do the keep doing the animations. Right now we have a little bit of a problem with, yeah, we're gonna show that later, but let's talk about the interface for now. So here is the game mode. I can maximize it.
Use joystick.
So here it is. If I open the character, I can actually see the description of these, well, kind of a button elements. And as you can see here, if I press down, it goes to the level. And here it's not going anywhere because right now the focus, as we talked about a little bit, some of the talks, is only, yeah, it's only on this window, so we cannot leave it until we go back here, or we press B, what is not currently working, but we can set it up.
I forgot about it.
Yeah, so you can leave it, mage, leave it, orc, and here we would be able to tell him go idle, like chill in front of your tent, or go training. And then if it's mage, there will be another one. He can go to the mana pool and there increase his magic condition.
Rotate the camera a little bit.
Yeah, not really visible.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit to the... Alright, something like that. Is there something else here?
Well, no. Basically,
I mean, there are a lot of stuff like how the window, I cannot show it well but because it's disappearing, but this black pop-up with white text is actually like scaling and positioning itself to be right at the end of whatever the length of the text is, and a lot of small stuff that actually needed to be addressed, but so it can be just information, but some of them can be also buttons like these two, and these are just informations, and
yeah, and basically navigation works, almost fully works. For example, these,
so the next step for interface is market, and that's going to be fun because after that we go into the battle and battle selection, and then we can actually have some gameplay loop. Of course, that is weeks away, but tomorrow we're going to start working on animations, because we got animators who are currently doing stuff here, and we need to try out a lot of stuff and see how that works. Yeah, that's animator. I am overflowing him with informations. There is no informations. So here is the character walking. Now this is not working at all. It's just animation that is glued to him, so to say. So it's not really going to do anything. I have to go here and okay, good. And manually switch it to attack, and then we can see him attack. I'm really happy with how it looks, but tomorrow we are going to connect it. And here is one thing that we have a problem with. As you can see, the animation is perfectly smooth, no matter how much we slow it down. Look at the arm. But the code is not updating game if it's slowed down this much. It's updating it, but way lesser. So as you can see here, every step is one update in the game. So we need to change that and make a game update like minimally 60 times in a second or more, no matter how slow the game is moving at. And that means a lot of rearranging and figuring out, but maybe it won't be super hard, and maybe it will complicate things a lot. So,
yeah,
but
we'll see.
Yeah, we don't know right now. But it's really important, because we tried with that, well, with different type of update, and it looks so smooth, so really good. And we want people to play the game watch the game in slow mode when they're interested in seeing what is really going on, like you know, maybe archer is escaping from warrior, and then it's very tensed and you need to see exactly what is happening. Or if there's 5 versus 5, there is no way you can see it on full speed of the game. Yeah. So that is what is going. Oh, we can show. We just shown the animation, so that will do it. And now we can talk. We wanted to talk about some ideas for quests and events that are going to happen, and how you can actually navigate through that. And then we are going to talk a little bit about some actions and units and like type of actions that they can do, like stealth and teleportation and stuff like that. Things that are interesting for us that we want to add to the game and make it like, well, that is the content. So of course I did not open the where it is. Just a moment. It's asking me for permission to another account. I'm just opening the quests that I was thinking of today. So as you have your own alright, this is not going to attract many clicks. We're gonna keep it like this. So you're managing your camp, and right there you buy characters, send them to battle and stuff like that, but at the same time there are many things that can happen in the region where you're camping right now. For instance, here there is a local farm, and pretty soon after you start the game, a farmer comes by and he says like, my farm is attacked by ghouls, can you help me? And then you can choose. You can say, alright, we're gonna help you, and not charge him anything, but your reputation with him will increase. by 20 in this case, and there is 100 is the highest that you can go, and it starts from 50. And then as it goes higher and higher, the food that you buy from him is cheaper, and he has higher quality food than you can buy in town. So it is more expensive, but if you get the good reputation with him, you can buy it fairly cheap, and your warriors are going to be better at training, at progressing if they eat better food. So you basically want to do that, or you might be like, alright, we're gonna help you, but we want some amount of food. Now this is how it will work. You can actually click on this thing. It will be something like this. You will have like a square and some number like 20 as first offer, but you can then click on it, and then the bigger window will appear, and you will actually have 10 I'm getting chills from that. You will have 10 different options here to choose from, and they will arrange. Some of them will be green, and then yellow, and then red, and in each you would ask for more. And then if he's really desperate, he might even agree to some high prices. But if he's not, if he has other options, in this case, if you ask, for instance, for 80 of these packs of food, then he is going to be like, the hell with you, I'm just going to pay city guards to protect my farm. But if you ask for 50, you might lose a little bit of a reputation from him, but you get a lot of, well, not completely free food, but you know, you have to still to protect the farm. And then the quest would be, here it is. I don't know if, tell me Shroda, if this is any visible at all. Maybe you can increase it also. Is this?
Yeah, it's a little visible.
I should have taken a picture of this so I can show it on PC. But basically, these are the 3 waves of ghouls that you will be fighting. So you need to hire some of your fighters. Hire because they're there with their own will, only to fight with in arena. That is like a glory. They don't want to go around and fight in like farms killing ghouls for nothing. So you actually have to pay them, and then you have to decide like how much do I want to spend on my fighters that can actually defeat these ghouls. So for instance, you select 4 of your warriors and you send them, and then there is 1 wave and 2nd and 3rd wave, and you win or you lose, and then farmer is like, thank you very much. Maybe your reputation increases if you didn't ask for too much gold, and that's the end of that. But there are chained quests, so only if you finish this one and if you're successful. If you lose, you can try again, but more warriors to pay and to lose. So, but then like in a month or something like that, there is another one, and then he's like, oh, the ghouls have returned, and then you can do it again. And then there is a 3rd one, and he's like, alright, so some of my workers have found the lair of these ghouls that are in pretty close to my farm, and somebody needs to go there and burn that because they're like breeding there, and they're always coming to my farm. So if you accept that, you can actually ask for more food if you want, or you would get a lot more reputation, like 30. I just copy pasted from here. And the thing is that this is a big battle. There are 12 ghouls and a ghoul queen that is like a mini boss, or well, very strong ghoul. So you actually need a really strong team that is good against many creatures. So maybe some mages that can burn them and stuff like that. And that's the 3rd quest, and the reward is the highest, like either in reputation or in the amount that you can ask.
Open the chat, maybe.
Oh.
Maybe someone will write.
Well, by the way, hello to anybody in chat. Feel free to ask anything if you're interested in, like, say hello. And this is the Gladiator game that we are creating right now, and we talk about it every day, about what we've done, where it's going, and stuff like that. So where are we? Bandit kidnapping. Alright, so you will get more than one quest from just this guy from the farm, and they're going to be several like parties that you can actually work with. They're going to send some quests your way. So in this instance, this one is a bit different. So the farmer comes to you and he says like, oh, my daughter has been kidnapped by bandits, and he asks you to help him. So you can actually say, yeah, let's do it, or you can ask for some gold, and depending on how much you ask, he might be, yeah, I'll do it, or he's not happy with it, or he's just not going to, well, agree, and you can refuse it. And then you go on to fight the bandits, and you actually see how many bandits they are, and then you can figure out like, can I win this? But also, before the battle starts, your guy who is like your info guy, he talks with everybody for you. He says like, alright, but this is what bandits said. They actually offered the farmer to return the hostage daughter for 800 gold. But in order to avoid the fight, they're going to give you his daughter for 500 gold. And then you can say like, no, we're gonna fight, and the fight starts. Or you can say, alright, but you can bargain. You want it for, I don't know, 300, or you have 10 options if you click again on this thing. And there is a third option that is completely different. You can say, alright, I have another offer. How if you give us... this confused me. How if you give us...
Hey, Yotso.
What? I didn't see it. Ah! Hey, Yotso. The thing is, I expected it here, and I didn't even watch the offer. So you can actually say, here is another offer. You pay us 200 gold, or however much you want, and we are going to leave. We are not going to do anything. So you get free gold, in this case without battle, without any problems. And then if they agree for the amount that you asked, you just... you're happy. you got for nothing. And then you go back to the farmer, and he's asking like, what happened? And you can tell him two things. You can tell him that you failed, the bandits are too powerful, or you can actually be honest and say, we got a better offer from them. And then you lose all your reputation, like 50, that's half of the maximum. So things are going to get really expensive at farmer. And in this case, you don't lose any reputation because he doesn't know. But in 35 days, there is another event that occurs, and that is like 50-50 chance. So some player will get this, some won't, and the not lucky ones, they're going to get this. So he found out that you were dealing with bandits. Maybe he talked with them as well or something like that, and he's furious, like you betrayed him, right? And then you have three options. To give him some gold to apologize, and then he will say, no, he's offended, he doesn't want the gold, and you are pretty much banned from using the farm at that point, so you have to use the not so good food at the town. Or you can tell him that the bandits are lying, and that he's not sure, so you just lose a lot of reputation, but you can just still trade with him. Or you can just say, whatever, I don't care. So this is a consequence of you getting the free money for lying, but maybe it doesn't happen, who knows? That's random. So,
hey, let's show Yotza the attack animation.
She didn't see the animations at all, right?
Yeah, she saw, but I don't think she saw the attack. Maybe, I don't know.
Wait. We can show it here, actually, why not?
Yeah. Just deselect it.
So this is walk, and now, in order for him to attack, I actually have to play it myself. Attack. Maybe like this. There you go. But let's show it also. Art, or two.
Yeah.
Here it is. So you can actually see it nicely here. This is the original speed that we want the animations to be played in. Yeah, we're really happy with it too. So here's the slow motion. He actually twisted his head and increased the size of the axe of the head. This goes up when the hit is when he hits the ground or the enemy. And fun thing is that if we go to walking from this, he actually switches to walking.
Yeah.
That is actually spine.
That's actually why we use spine.
Yeah.
In any moment, in any part of the animation, you can play another one and it will automatically switch. As you can see here.
Alright, but oh, I clicked on something.
What have you done?
I don't know. I won't touch it. I created reference assets. Let's see what happens now. I already managed to screw up our background somehow. I dragged some wrong shader and then we were confused a bit for a bit.
Because Darko is clicking like sometimes he has this like
clicking attacks.
Clicking attacks, you know, and he's like click, and he don't know what he. Once when we were working on the game, previous game, he accidentally, literally deleted the whole project.
If I wanted to do it right now, I don't know how would I do it.
I
don't think there's an option for that.
Yeah, there is no option.
But
it was like the Unity just like freeze for 3, 4, 5 minutes.
We are waiting
and then like there's no project.
Yeah.
Like you I don't know how. It's impossible, but he managed to do that with click attack.
Like Control A and delete.
Control A,
but
delete.
I was doing it with mouse, so I don't know how.
With mouse, I don't know. That was.
There isn't even a selection. I cannot even select it.
And the project was like.
I don't know.
2.5 gigabytes or so, maybe bigger even.
Maybe the project was like, too many clicks, fuck it, and it committed suicide. Who knows?
So yeah.
Let me just check. Alright, so the rest of the quests are fairly similar. Actually, they're not. They're not, and I haven't told you neither about this one, so let's go through this one also. Again, farmer, because this is only for his quests in this document, but there will be randomized, many of them. So check this out. He asks you if you can send some soldier to go to deliver what's
I'm still laughing. Because when I remember that you deleted literally entire project. what I don't know how would you do that now.
It happened. So where are we? Yeah, so he comes to your place and he says like, alright, there is some seed for some crazy potato that he wants. And he's like saying, alright, can you get somebody to fetch it for me? And it's far away, so you can actually hire one or more of your warriors and pay them, and they can go, and they are not available for they can be maybe grayed on the icon because they need their spaces still, but they're gray, not usable. And for 20 days you don't have them, plus there is 40% of the chance that they will get into some fight that you don't really know what the fight is going to be, so you can maybe we can indicate kind of how difficult it might be, and then you send them away, and if they return with this seed, that is good, you get the reward. And if they don't, maybe now they can run into some characters, and if they lose that battle, then you fail the quest. So it's something just to be a bit different, you know. And the other one we were talking about having the guest tent where people can actually stay at your place, for instance. Maybe some trainer or some healer or some enchanter who can increase physical damage of everybody or something like that, can stop by and say like, alright, help me by providing accommodation so I can stay here for, I don't know, a week, and I will help you in return to do something. Or there can be even some quests like, oh, our farm have burned out, and right now we need a place to stay, and then your reputation will jump through the roof if you do that, or you can actually charge them. So just something to add a bit more dynamic to the management aspect of the game. And yeah.
You could zoom in.
Oh, I can do it.
Yeah.
So these are some new things that, well, things that we were talking about that we'll implement as we're doing quests. There is still a lot to talk about there, and yeah, now we could actually talk about characters and what actions. This is painful. And what action it asks me every single time. It won't switch the account. So where are game design? Units and actions. Alright, there we are. So let's go just through all of our not all, yeah, I just wrote a few of them, a few of these characters, and some of the abilities are already in the game, and some of them we're just thinking about implementing. And we can even, I didn't show Daniel this yet, so we can actually talk about some of them, and maybe he or me, or if any of you have any ideas what some character can do, maybe even an idea for a character, like rogue, mage, assassin, something, you feel free to share it. Alright, so how about this? Warrior could have a shield bash. Basically, this is protective ability for him to just kick somebody down. And it's a short, like, kick down. It doesn't do much damage, if any, but... Oh, actually, you know what we can do? You know that most of the knockdowns depend if the damage is dealt or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one maybe doesn't do any damage, but it always knocks down an opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the thing about it.
Yeah.
And you can count on it, like, alright, so he has this, I will knock him down and somebody else will hit him, and...
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So inconvenient cut, that is pretty much like you cut somebody and then they bleed, so it's damage over time.
Yeah.
Bandage. This is something I thought maybe they could, if nobody is attacking them, that is like a flastery.
Mm-hmm.
If nobody is attacking
Yeah,
them.
I know.
Ah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, the thing about the warriors is that all their abilities have to be with some tools. We cannot really... we can't really give them any spells or anything like that, so either tools or something to do with their things that they have, like shield or... So in this case the idea was like, alright, if nobody is attacking him, he can like go down and do something like this, tuk 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 tuk, and it takes him 3 seconds and he fixed up some wound and now he healed himself a little bit.
I don't know, somehow I don't feel this.
Well, alright. What do you think?
I don't know. First thing in mind, it's like Fortnite. You know, there's like bandages.
Well, they stole it from other games. My first thing is
maybe,
actually World of Warcraft. They had bandages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, but somehow.
All right, we'll talk about it some more. So, Orc Warrior.
Here is an argument. There is a priest. Why would warrior heal himself with some bandages or something?
Well, maybe there isn't priest, and that's like just an action
then
for him.
He will die.
Well, that's
the
no
game.
argument. That's not really argument because just because there is unit priest doesn't mean that some other unit cannot heal himself, because there are many units who can heal others, or some of them can heal themselves. I'm not really even that like attached to it. I'm fine. Doesn't matter. We can remove it.
I don't think it's
maybe.
a good idea
I would say this argument against it, that the priest is actually using magic to literally heal you, to literally like put it together and fix you, while bandage is more like what is it? It's not really heal. It's just you patch yourself up.
I don't know.
No, I just gave
It's
argument
like-
against my own thing. If you're listening.
Yeah, I don't know. I know, but
So yeah, I'm fine with not
Okay.
having the bandage. Yeah. Because yeah, it's let's kind of try to be a bit realistic in the game, even though we can't go full realistic because like just the point that mage can summon the fire from the sky that hits only enemies, even though it's dropped in the middle of the fight. Just that is like, how is this realistic? It's not realistic.
Yeah.
It should burn everybody, but we cannot do that. It's not going to work. Like too much AI would be needed for that. So let's try to be as realistic as we can, but we can't do it too much. Alright, so this, yeah, fuck it. We don't need it. Throw weapon. Alright, so Berserker. This guy, he's a Berserker. We shouldn't have a warrior and warrior orc. It's like, let's name him completely differently so that it's a different class. So, throw weapon. We were talking about this a lot yesterday. Do you want to explain it?
Well, some units could throw weapons, and yeah, that's the ability they can have. And the thing is, when they throw the weapon, for example, this orc, he would have. You can zoom in. He would have like he can throw axe, and that axe would be on his back, like tied, and he could throw it only once. But that was, we figured out that that's the little bit of a problem, and we come up with the idea that if he could pick up the new weapon and then throw it, that new weapon, if he feels like. And yeah, basically that's the new idea that we will probably implement soon. So these units who could throw weapon, they would be able to pick up also the weapon. So
one would be on his back, he can just throw it, and after that whoever dies on the stage is going to drop their weapon, and then if orc is nearby he can just pick it up and throw it at somebody else. And then that weapon still remains in the game, so who knows, maybe that other guy who was hit by weapon can actually pick it up and throw it back. Yeah, that would be. We need to put it in the game to be sure how that would work.
Yeah.
It might be annoying, like, alright, so these guys are just throwing one weapon at each other. Because the weapon, when it hits him, it would just go through him and fall somewhere here with, like, probably a trail of blood as it hits him, as it, damaged him. So he would go back and throw it at the other guy. And then walking towards the other guy, and the other guy is throwing it. But it's usually a fairly strong thing, so... Or we can add the cooldown and say, alright, you can throw a weapon every 7 seconds or something like that, so don't go crazy with it and go fight. The interesting thing about it is that we have now additional mechanic. Now there are these weapons that can be picked up. And maybe some spellcaster can use some spell to telekinetically move the weapon to throw it at somebody or things like that. But let's continue with the orc. So swinging blade, that is just him taking the axe and rotating around and hitting everybody around him. So here is the attack. The swinging would be something through everywhere. Then that refusal. So this is stolen straight from the League of Legends. It's like Undying Rage. It's no, it's not. It's not completely. When he has lost all his health, he's alive for a few more seconds depending on how upgraded it is, and he will then die for sure, but few more seconds remains so he can actually kill somebody else at the same time. Then hook I'm not sure we should put this on him, but it was one idea. He could throw a chain with a hook and just pull somebody towards him. So we might add that to some other character, because he's not really a hook kind of guy, but anyway. What else do we have? If you have any ideas that pop up in your mind about any of these or new ones, let's talk about that too. Execution, this one here, idea here is that maybe if some other unit has less than 50% of the health and less than 25% of the stamina, he can execute him for sure. And we could actually apply this to all units. So maybe this is like the best way to fight behemoths. Behemoths are like some big monsters. So actually you try to get his stamina as low as possible and health under half, and then the orc should finish him off. That sounded weird. Alright, so Warlock. Yeah, we won't have pleasure slaves like in that game we played a few days ago. Warlock. So this would be a female orc, and she would have that shield. So this is another thing that happens with new resources. Yeah. So this is another thing when some character is dead, no matter if it's friendly or enemy. Some of the spellcasters, they would be able to use their bodies, like their remaining energy, to do something. So they could maybe, in this case, the warlock would consume that body, it would remain grey and burned out, and he would summon a shield around himself. Or he could do this, like this, some kind of death ray. So directly from the body there would be, I should show here, directly from the body there would be a ray directed to some character, burning them. Or that explosion. This one is a bit crazy, but it's the idea to move telekinetically few bodies in a group that is most crowded, like when you select the group with Firebolt. And then when they all arrive, they're like start, hitting up, and then they explode, damaging everybody. But he needs 3 bodies to do that. And this is something like a fear in World of Warcraft. So you throw it at somebody and somebody starts running around. Hellhounds, we talked about that one. I mean, you and me talked about that one too. It's pretty much the dogs that run around and attack. Do you have some thoughts on these or some other ideas?
I don't know. No, for now.
Alright, so Fire Mage, there would be a Firebolt, the thing that we have right now that falls from the sky, but in our case it still needs to be updated. This is another idea, Burning Shield. So it's not really a shield, it doesn't help him at all, but whoever hits him gets on fire. So whoever attacks this mage is going to start burning. And idea about fire that I had is that you cannot, it doesn't have a time when it will stop. It's just you burn until the end. So if you won the game, then like, alright, you are fine. If the character didn't die, like somebody maybe put him out or something like that. But he continues burning unless they have a priest who can actually remove the burning or something like that. Priest can remove any negative effect, like burning, fear, whatever. He just throws something at any negative buffs, as we call them. And lastly, teleport is like so, boop, blink or dash.
Yeah.
But for him it's instant. For her it's no. This is male for him. So Priest would have heal, we already have that. We have a magic shield already. Purifier, that's the thing that removes any negative buff from damage to like fear or whatever. Round force, this means it pushes everybody around him away. So whoever is around trying to attack him, it pushes him away. Or direct force, and this is like really strong force that knocks him out and pushes him really far away, but just one character. So if you have a 2 versus 2 battle, maybe it's useful because maybe one of them will approach Priest, and then when he pushes him, he'll fly away. while for big battles not as useful. And last one is Mana Assassin. That is something that is kind of close to the Rogue, but Rogue doesn't make sense because Rogue, he's like invisible, but how is he invisible? Because he's like really sneaky and nobody sees him, it's like an open battle. But in this case, it would be actually a spell, so he's invisible by a spell.
Well, one thing about that invisibility, I don't think there's nothing to gain.
There's a lot to gain, because if there is a ranged character, they cannot target him. So he can actually go around invisible and then enter the battle. And also, while he's in stealth, there are other abilities that are stronger, that can be used only in stealth. So like the startle push that is like knockdown, or shock strike that is a really strong attack that makes them also bleed or stuff like that. And then he can only do it if he's in stealth. He's not in stealth anymore, that's it, cannot do it anymore. And then only if maybe he defeats the opponent and then there is nobody around him who is attacking him at that point, he can get back into the stealth and then sneakily, or against archers. That's like the only reason orcs lose against archers, is because they don't have any defense. But here archer is just standing and like, what, who, where, or and then assassin appears next to him and executes him. So I think there is a lot of interest. I am afraid too about code in doing that, but I think it's doable. We did that thing that they don't have to have targets all the time, I hope.
Yeah.
So I think we can do it, and we can do a lot of interesting stuff that they're in, like things that can happen in the stealth, after the stealth. We can always kick it out if it turns out that it's not fun or anything, but I feel like it gives something to the game.
We could try to do that.
Yeah. So there is dash. Oh, there's another one that is new, catch an arrow. So
Yeah.
whatever weapon, arrow, anything that is thrown at this assassin, maybe there is some cooldown, of course, but he can catch it and then throw it back at 50% of efficiency. So it's not as strong, but pretty much like he reflected that. Another idea is mana shield. That's pretty much just a shield, but only to himself. Herself, I think. Yeah, she would be female. Only to herself, because she is not a support, she's just... And so there is a bazillion more that we can make here, and I think we should have a lot of them written down, because there's some ideas that are going to pop up and be like, yeah, we need that, and then we'll be like, alright, but we can't do it in our system. What do you think about some ability for cleric or for shaman?
I don't know. I don't have any idea right now.
So for shaman we can have a... I'm just stealing everything from WoW. Other games. But that's how all the ideas are made, right? So he can have totems, and totem is something he can drop in the middle of his allies, and it would help with something. Maybe it would heal, maybe it would actually be something that shoots fire, or maybe brings rain. Totem that brings rain, and then maybe he doesn't have much from the rain, but there are units who are actually much stronger in the rain, or weaker. Like they're archers. Alright, rain totem brings rain. That's but as long as the totem is there it is raining. And if there are 5 archers, he puts that totem and they lose like a lot of their accuracy.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Any kind of totem like healing, damaging, and hunting, increasing their strength, anything like that. Shooting. with cleric we had some ideas. I don't know how if we can do it still, or if we want to do it. But we had ideas that when, for instance, archer. Let's actually do it visually. So let's say this is a cleric. This is archer. No. We need archer here, and we need cleric, and we need, I don't know, mage maybe. So archer just threw an arrow and it's flying this way, and maybe the cleric is here fighting, so he would actually dash, like move super fast in a blink, not blink, but dash like half a second less, and he puts a shield on himself, and the arrow would either get destroyed or maybe even directly reflected back to archer. Yeah. Can we still do that? I know we stopped doing this protecting thing because it made them crazy. Nobody was doing anything good.
Yeah. I don't know. We could try it, but
the cleric is actually a support, so maybe we can try it. It doesn't matter for him to fight that much. For warrior, it was problem because he gives up fighting and goes back to help. But this guy shouldn't have high damage. He's more like hanging around and then dash, throws back the arrow, and then puts a shield on somebody, heals somebody or stuff like that. So we can probably still do it, yeah. There you go. Let's write it down actually. So shield, reflecting shield. Throws this at himself before arrow. It could be also a flying weapon. That's nice because it would interact with even more. Like orc picks up somebody's weapon, throws it at the mage, cleric dashes into the thing, reflects the weapon, but the mage, assassin mage grabs it and throws it back to the mage. So it can go crazy. But that's the fun of it, I think, because it's like, oh no, oh here it goes, what? You know, when you're watching. Throws this at himself before arrow hits him and reflects it back to enemy. And dash. Dash. We know what the dash is. Moves quickly to location. We will need to figure out how to combine these two.
What?
Well, actually, I was
reflecting and dash.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
But dash is like a movement.
That's why we separated in the code.
Yeah, exactly. So he could actually be in the reflecting shield action, figures out that the arrow is flying this way, and this is what gives him points to do that, and then he needs to say, alright, this arrow that is right here will be here in, I don't know, 0.2 seconds, so I need to dash here at the same time, and then he does that and he reflects the arrow. But the cool thing is that we can start when arrow is here, so he can actually dash like this, and it will be really cool because it will they would collide and bounce. So we've gone through these things, and we've been streaming for almost an hour. That's good. It passed really fast, actually.
50 minutes.
Interesting, I felt like maybe 30 minutes passed. Do we have anything else?
Plans for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Animation system.
Animations.
And
I'm outside.
Well, tomorrow we need to figure out that updating units and animation. Basically, animation system, and
we need to figure out how to update everything differently so that we can have this slow time, smooth thing.
when it slowed down
Yeah.
the time,
And
but animation must stay smooth. Yeah.
then we need to do something with the events in the animations to figure out when they. Actually, what we want to do when we were doing some other game, we also used the spine, and the problem was that when sometimes, like 1 in 100, spine event actually broke, didn't occur, and our whole game just broke because of that event. It depended on that event, on that timeline, so it probably just skipped the frame, or who knows what happens. But right now we decided to actually make the game independent of animation. So animation is going on, but even if anything happens with the animation, it will hit, like there is 0.2 seconds for the swing.
Yeah.
And after 0.2 seconds, the attack happened, and that's all. So no matter what. So the animations are not going to be leading, they're going to be following the rest of the code. What will probably be a good idea. Definitely. So a lot of that tomorrow. But our animator is also working on some stuff, so we might have something to show tomorrow with animations working. That will be really cool.
Maybe at the end of the day.
Yeah, maybe two orcs fighting. That would be nice. We still don't have the back side of them, and so they're just going to look. I don't know. They can't explain it, but they're going to be like this, not like this. They're going to be like this. What I'm trying to say is that you see how the back side here, so it looks good when they're fighting, but our guys are going to be just facing. But doesn't matter. I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's it. That is it for today. Yotso, thanks for hanging out with us. I have a bit of a problem because when somebody pops in, I feel like, alright, I should introduce them, I should say this, that, but then we have to cancel everything that we were talking about and start talking about what the hell we are doing with the game, and maybe we should have some kind of, how do you call it, like a spiel, something that we say in 5 seconds, like we're doing a Gladiator game and we are talking about development, ask anything, hang out, say hello, and get back to the... And somebody will maybe sometimes say something, and then they start hanging out. Alright, we're gonna do that tomorrow. Alright, we are out. See ya, Yotso.
Bye.
Bye.